Back when I was a teenager, one of the first factory farms I ever saw was a battery egg unit. It felt absolutely insane because I walked into this huge industrial shed where there were tens of thousands of birds, all in small cages. Of course, that was banned back in 2012, but cynically, the government allowed the industry to just make bigger cages and pack more birds in. So millions of birds in the UK are still caged. Now we have a chance though of genuinely banning it because Labour are doing a consultation on banning cages, but a consultation is just words. We need the ban to happen before the next general election. And that is why this investigation I'm about to go on with my son is so important, because we have to get the evidence out there. Viva investigated this unit back in 2023 and we're going again to gather more evidence. I feel upset because I'm thinking about the chickens that we rescued from battery cages back then when you were a little boy, and they became part of the family. How do you feel?
It's going to be hard to see the chickens in such a bad condition, especially when my main memories are them running around the yard, playing and engaging and interacting with you. And I think if that was chicken heaven and we get in the best time possible, this is a lot closer to chicken hell.
Jesus. I've never seen so many overcrowded birds. Actually, in all 31 years that I've been filming for Viva, I've hardly got words because the battery cage was actually banned in 2012. And I think we're kidding ourselves as a nation that somehow it's been replaced with something better, and this is just terrible. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How are these birds ever checked on? Oh my God.
Absolutely vile.
Caged for their entire lives. Imagine owning a place like this. If you go on their website, you will not see these birds. It says they've got 122,000 caged birds.
Absolutely crammed in. Never ever see the sunlight or go outside. That's their entire life, is this tiny square in the cage.
Look at them, they're touching, they cannot not touch each other. We are seen as being a nation of bird lovers, ironically, and yet here they are in the dark, just shoved into metal cages. That is it. Forever.
1 in 6 hens are still caged in the UK today. That's around 7 million birds trapped right now who will never feel the sun on their wings or the grass under their feet. Maybe you don't buy caged eggs. Maybe you buy free range.
That's horrible. This is a free range egg unit, which is called Country Flavours. So basically a flavour of death. God, look at this, it's horrible in here. Look at this.
Clearly just left and left and never cleaned up.
God, it's inches deep. Well, they're really packed in here. This gangway is so narrow.
I would imagine free range as being out in the orchard and having somewhere to at least nest. Here they clearly have no space. They're all just so crowded together, they can barely move.
They lay 300 eggs a year because they're being genetically manipulated to do so. And in the wild, these birds are laying literally about 10, 12 eggs in the whole year. It is not because, as the website of this company says, it's because they are happy. They're our girls.
This is where the eggs are from. This is where the birds spend their time, crowded together for around a year and a half until they're killed, and then the cycle starts again.
It's just horrible seeing them so crammed in when You think naturally they're supposed to be in small family groups of about 4 to 14? It's not what you think of when you think of free range, is it?
You might picture free-range hens roaming freely outdoors, but we went back in the day, and when we filmed, we saw very few outside. Research backs this up. Hens have a strict pecking order. Dominant birds block exits. Add to this overcrowding and chronic stress, and many hens become too fearful or withdrawn to even try. A major study shows that in large flocks, only 23% ever went outdoors, and in smaller flocks, it was only half.
And yet again, it's females being exploited for their reproduction. And I don't think people even think about what an egg is, because you imagine the calcium it takes to form that shell inside their bodies. When you're producing 300, some birds even produce 500 a year, their bones are weak. And one of the biggest problems the industry says is that the breastbone never forms properly. And so fractures are common, their little bones snap like dry twigs. It's a kind of pain that is never talked about. These are all females, obviously. There are no males in here. What do you think happens to all the males in the egg industry?
Clearly they don't lay eggs.
Yeah, exactly.
If they don't lay eggs, they all will just be killed.
Yeah, and they're killed. There's little yellow fluffy things, just total little innocence.
Day-old chicks.
Day-old chicks. Yeah, the males are usually gassed in the UK.
If you say you care about animals, you care about chickens, you cannot buy eggs without being a hypocrite. This is standard all across the UK. This feeds the entire country. It's completely disgusting. And in the end, they spend their entire lives laying eggs, and eventually they just end up like that. At least she doesn't have to live through this anymore. But all these chickens do, and all the girls after them will as well, unless you choose today to go vegan, to choose kind and make a difference.